We will talk about power units with a working volume of up to 2 liters, and most importantly, there will be no motors, which are almost impossible to buy in good condition due to age. We will start, to the surprise of many, with the turbocharged VAG engines of the 1.4 TSI group of the EA211 family. Past mistakes in the form of a problematic timing chain, a weak piston group, a fuel pump, an unsuccessful crankcase ventilation system and an intercooler have been corrected, so now this is a completely different unit in terms of reliability. Its resource can reach the mark of 300,000 kilometers, of course, subject to gentle operation and a scrupulous attitude to maintenance. It is surprising that the previous version, the infamous EA111 family, was among the most problematic, but after 2012 the cylinder block was completely replaced in the power unit. Now it is aluminum with cast iron liners. Unlike the previous generation, the exhaust manifold is located at the rear, and the timing drive uses a belt instead of a chain, which must be changed every 60,000 kilometers. Not so well, but things are not so bad with the 1.8 and 2.0 TSI of the third generation. The manufacturer changed the piston group 20 times, in the fight against oil burning, and in this generation, he practically succeeded. For the most part, the engine starts to eat oil little by little with a run of about 200,000 kilometers in the same segment. The chain may also need to be replaced. So it's already safe to say that TSI from the new generation VAG is no longer so scary. They can be considered for second-hand purchase. Besides, the consumption and dynamic performance will pleasantly surprise you. But one of the best turbocharged engines in terms of reliability is Opel's A14NET with a working volume of 1.4 liters. It has been assembled since 2009 and installed on a number of popular models of the company, such as Astra, Meriva, Mokka, Zafira, Corsa, and Insignia. The motors of this series are famous for noise, clicking and whistling in operation, but this is normal. In second place, according to complaints, there are oil leaks from under the valve cover or crankshaft oil seal. In general, nothing serious. Before the first big problems, he can run more than 300,000 kilometers, unless the turbine may disturb before this run. Somewhere around 150,000. That's what greatly spoiled the reputation of this motor, so it's the first years of production, when the destruction of the pistons was regularly encountered, moreover, at low mileage. Otherwise, it is not much different from modern atmospheric engines. They even install HBO on it, which already says a lot. The next miracle of reliability was the Ecotec 1.6 engines from Opel, namely the A series. The motor has been installed since 2008 on such models as Astra, Mokka, Zafira, and Insignia. He, like his younger brother 1.4, almost does not cause problems to his owners, and they have the same sores. These are noise, leaks and destruction of pistons at the beginning of production. Another resource turbo engine is the brainchild of the Mercedes M274 or M270 for front-wheel drive. The 1.6 and 2-liter engine was installed on many Mercedes and Infiniti models. Who cares? I wrote all the models in the description. It has been produced since 2011. The M274 turned out to be much more reliable than its predecessors and rarely worries the owners. Naturally, here the resource of the injection pump and nozzles depends on the quality of the fuel used. A frequent problem is considered a strong crack immediately after starting the engine. It occurs during a cold start after 100,000 kilometers and indicates the wear of the phase shifter. After November 2014, the old part was replaced and the problem is almost unheard of. The timing drive uses a chain that lasts about 100,000 kilometers, sometimes less, sometimes more. Also, the turbine here rarely goes more than 200,000 kilometers for long-term operation. You need to pour good oil and replace it 2 times more often than it should be, as well as warm it up normally in the cold season, and of course, safely operate the car. Although the latter will not be easy to do. After all versions of the motor can be easily flashed for more than 250 forces and 400 Newton-meters of torque. It is enough to install the usual Stage 1 firmware. The Japanese representative of turbocharged gasoline engines is the 1.6-liter unit of the Mr. series, which was first introduced in 2010 and has since been installed on charged versions of many popular concern models. This power unit is also actively installed on Renault cars under its own M5MT index. Most of the complaints on the forums are related to all sorts of noises or knocks. Often the mass airflow sensor is buggy, which leads to twitching. And the timing chain rarely lasts more than 150,000 kilometers. Mass laser usually does not show itself much before 200,000 kilometers. Otherwise, the motor showed itself perfectly, and the average engine resource is 250,000 kp of mileage. He also has no less reliable older brothers of the same Mr. series, with a volume of 1.8 and 2.0 liters. There are the least complaints about the 1.8 power unit. Only on a 2-liter engine you need to be careful when tightening the bolts and candles. The cylinder head cracks easily here. Also in the secondary market you can find a reliable turbocharged power unit from Ford. 1.5 EcoBoost of the Sigma family. Just do not consider buying heavily forced versions of 160 and 183 horsepower. The most reliable and trouble-free of them is a 150 horsepower engine. It was introduced in 2014 as a replacement for the previous 1.6-liter engine under the hood of models such as the third-generation Focus and the second C-Max. Such a motor is afraid of overheating, so you need to monitor the cleanliness of the radiators. In the timing drive, a belt works here. And the approximate resource before repair is 250,000 kilometers. I think we can end this with turbo engines. I am sure that many will not agree with this short list. After all, such power units are contradictory in themselves. They are very complex and sensitive to the quality of fuel, oil, as well as to operating conditions. Southwest one car can drive 300,000 without problems and even without an oil burner, while the other will start serious investments at 100,000. When buying such a car in the secondary market, it is imperative to find out the service history. Much more stable in this regard are simple atmospheric engines, which we will talk about later. Let's take a look at Mazda's Skyactiv first. These are 1.3, 1.5, 2.0, and 2.5 liters engines have been actively installed on all models of the brand since 2012, and they replaced the old and no less reliable MZR. The motors are equipped with all modern systems such as direct fuel injection, variable valve timing on 2 dual SVT shafts, hydraulic lifters, a lightweight connecting rod and piston group, and a 4-2-1 spider on the outlet, the length of which is designed to ensure purging the cylinders, and this whole set allows the Skyactiv engine to work at a high compression ratio with the help of 95th gasoline without detonating. Thanks to this, the motors have become more economical and powerful. And most of all complaints are caused by noisy work and vibrations at idle, although these symptoms go away as they warm up. This engine is very picky about the quality of gasoline. As the manufacturer assures, its resource is about 300,000 kilometers. It will pass more or less, depends only on how it was treated. But in general, the engines are very reliable and do not cause any problems. The 1.6-liter petrol engine Renault K4 MK7M was produced until 2015. It's really simple and reliable. This is the first engine on the list that does not have this sensitivity to fuel quality. There is no turbine, no direct injection, no chain, and many models of Renault, Dacia and even Octavia were equipped with it. Engineers estimate its resource at about 400,000 kilometers. Among the frequent shortcomings, floating revolutions, oil leaks and ignition coils are distinguished. True, for such simplicity and reliability, one has to pay with dynamic performance and fuel consumption. But the last moment can be corrected by installing HBO, with which it is better not to buy a used car. 1.6 MPI from VAG is also a very reliable and practical power unit. Its mileage before the first major repair is estimated at 350 to 400,000 km. Of the problems, only floating revolutions and vibrations are distinguished. It was installed on many models of Audi, SKODA, Seat, and especially Volkswagen. True, it should be noted here that this engine has a lot of modifications. And there are those who have greatly ruined the reputation of the MPI badge. The most reliable versions of 1.6 MPI are motors with the prefix BSF and BSE, which were produced from 2002 to 2015. There are still pretty good versions of CFNA and CFNB, but it's difficult to recommend them because of the recall company for the piston group and the not very durable timing chain. But new versions after 2015 are noticeably worse in terms of reliability, particularly because of the oil burner. There are many more reliable versions of 1.6 MPI, but they were all released until 2010. How can you do without Toyota on this list? Motors of the ZR series with a working volume of 1.6, 1.8, and 2.0 liters began to be produced since 2006. This is the successor of the ZZ engine family, which suffered from increased oil consumption. But now the unit does not have such a pronounced problem. If an oil burner has appeared, then you can solve it by pouring oil of a different viscosity. There is also noise and knocking at work, which is treated by replacing the chain tensioner. The ZR series is based on aluminum housings and is equipped with variable valve timing. The resource of these units is plus or minus 300,000 kilometers. Another reliable family of atmospheric gasoline engines is from another Japanese manufacturer, Honda. The R series is represented by 1.8 and 2.0 liter engines, which were released in 2006, and on some models, the 2-liter version is still installed, but 1.8 was discontinued in 2014. In the initial period of production, samples with increased oil consumption were detected. The cause was the valve guides. The manufacturer changed the cylinder head under warranty, but if the warranty period is over, then you can easily limit yourself to replacing only the guides. But in general, these are really incredibly reliable units.